The wind howled across the white mountains, sharp as broken glass. It carried the cry of dying beasts and the silence of a world that had forgotten warmth. Beneath the endless snow, 2 dragons lay chained to black stones, their scales once shining like stars, now dull and cracked. The silver dragon's breath came weak and slow, forming mist that froze in the air beside her. The red dragon's eyes glowed faintly, but even fire could not live long in such cold. They had been trapped there for what felt like ages, bound by chains forged from star metal. The storm never stopped, the world never changed. Their wings were torn, their strength fading. The red dragon growled low. "We should have died in battle." Not like this, his voice was deep but tired. The silver dragon turned her head slightly, her eyes full of sorrow. "Maybe death forgot us too," she whispered. For a long time they lay in silence, listening to the sound of the wind and their own hearts slowing down. The snow fell heavier, burying their tails and claws. The red dragon closed his eyes, ready to give in to the cold, but then a strange sound reached them. It was not the wind nor the cracking of ice. It was the sound of footsteps, slow and heavy, pressing against the snow. The dragons lifted their heads weakly. Blinking through the storm, a shadow moved in the distance, barely visible in the white mist. The red dragon narrowed his eyes. "Another ghost," he muttered. "The dead come to mock us again." But the silver dragon shook her head. "No," she said softly. "I feel warmth." Step by step, the figure came closer, wrapped in a torn cloak made from old leather. His face was hidden by frost, and his hands glowed faintly blue. Each breath he took steamed in the cold air. He stumbled, almost fell, yet kept walking. The dragons watched him in silence, disbelief growing in their hearts. The red dragon whispered, "Impossible." "Humans are gone," the silver one replied. "Then what is he?" When the figure came close enough, they saw his face, a young man, pale from cold but alive. His eyes were bright, full of a strange fire. He stopped a few steps from the dragons, looking up at them with calm, steady eyes. For a long moment no one spoke. Only the wind screamed between them. Finally, the man said, his voice quiet but clear, "You look worse than the legends said." The red dragon snarled weakly. "And you look like a fool." His voice cracked like breaking ice. "A human walking into death itself." The man smiled slightly. "Maybe," he said, "but I didn't come here to die." He raised the glowing object in his hand, a shard of crystal burning with blue light. It hummed softly, filling the air with warmth. The dragons could feel it, the magic. Ancient and pure, it melted the snow around his feet, creating a small circle of heat in the frozen world. The silver dragon lowered her head closer, studying him. "Why do you come here, human?" she asked. "Do you wish to claim the last breath of dragons for your kind?" The man looked up at her with something almost like pity. "No," he said. "I came to free you." The dragons froze in disbelief. Their chains rattled as the red dragon laughed, a sound full of bitterness. "Free us?" he said. "Your kind put us here, boy. The world is dead because of humans like you." The man said nothing for a moment, then took another slow step forward. The wind pushed against him. The snow tried to bury him, but he kept walking. His hand reached toward one of the chains, the blue light flickering across the frozen metal. As his fingers touched the chain, pain shot through his arm. His skin burned, but he did not pull away. The silver dragon's eyes widened. "Stop, you'll die," she warned. But he shook his head. "If death takes me, at least it will take me doing something right." A spark of light ran through the metal. Spreading like fire through ice, the sound was sharp, the air hissed. The red dragon's eyes widened. "He's breaking it," he whispered. The chain cracked, glowing from the inside. The mountain trembled. The human fell to one knee, coughing. But the light in his hand grew stronger. The first chain shattered into dust, and for the first time in centuries, the silver dragon's wing moved freely. She stared down at the human, her heart filled with confusion and awe. "Who are you?" she asked quietly. The man looked up, breathing hard, snow in his hair. "Someone who shouldn't exist," he said. The red dragon glared at him. "Why risk your life for us?" he demanded. "Humans have always feared dragons." The man's lips curved into a weak smile. "Maybe I'm tired of fear." The storm howled louder, as if angry at this act of defiance. The man stood again, holding the crystal tight. His body trembled, his breath shallow. Yet he stepped toward the next chain. The silver dragon whispered, "You'll die before you break them all." The man looked at her and said softly, Then I'll die warm. And with that he pressed the glowing crystal against the metal once more. The sound of thunder rolled through the frozen peaks. Blue light burst across the snow, and for the first time in 1,000 years, warmth touched the dragon's hearts again. The silver dragon turned to the red one, her voice trembling. "He's not just human," she said. "Something ancient moves inside him." The red dragon didn't answer. His fiery eyes watched the man in silence. Somewhere deep in his chest, where cold had long buried his flame, a spark began to burn again, and high above them, through the snow and storm, the first sunrise in a century began to break through the clouds, spilling gold over the world that everyone thought was dead. The storm never stopped. It screamed across the mountains. Trying to bury every trace of life, the two dragons, now half free, watched the human kneel in the snow, his hands shaking, his breath turning into mist. The silver dragon leaned closer, her massive head lowering until her golden eyes met his. "Why do you help us?" she asked quietly. "You risk death for creatures your kind once feared." The man looked up, his lips blue from cold. "Because I remember what was lost," he whispered. His voice was rough yet strong. The red dragon snorted, smoke curling weakly from his nostrils. "Humans remember only how to destroy," he growled. "You burned our nests. You hunted us for glory." The man did not answer. He only pressed the glowing shard against the second chain. The metal hissed, blue fire spreading through the links like living veins. The pain tore through his arm again, but he held it, refusing to fall. The snow around them melted in a circle of light. The silver dragon saw the look in his eyes. Something fierce, something ancient. It was not just courage, it was fire. The same kind of fire that once burned inside the hearts of dragons, she whispered. "Your eyes, they burn like ours." The man smiled faintly, his teeth chattering. "My father used to say that too," he said. "Before he died." The red dragon blinked slowly, confusion flashing across his face. "Your father?" he asked. No human could have lived with dragonfire inside him. The man's hand trembled, the crystal glowing brighter. "He wasn't fully human," he said. His voice grew weaker, but the chain began to crack. "And neither am I." The words hung in the air like thunder. The dragons exchanged a look. The red dragon growled low. "You speak lies." The human dropped to one knee, clutching his chest, where faint blue light pulsed beneath his skin. "If it's a lie," he said through pain, "then why does your fire answer mine?" The chain exploded with a flash of light. The red dragon roared as his left leg was freed. The sound echoed through the valley, shaking the snow from distant cliffs. The human fell backward, gasping, his hands burned and bleeding. The silver dragon moved her head closer again. Her voice softened. "Human, what is your name?" He opened his eyes, the pupils glowing faintly like blue fire. "Kyle," he whispered. "My name is Kyle." The red dragon laughed bitterly. "A half-blood," he said. "Impossible." Kyle forced a weak smile. "My father was a dragon lord," he said. "He took human form to live among men. My mother was a healer. They were killed before I was born." The dragons fell silent. The wind slowed as if listening. The silver dragon's heart trembled. "If that is true," she said, "then you carry both our worlds in you." Kale nodded faintly. "And both worlds are gone," he murmured, "but not forgotten." The red dragon shook his head, his chains rattling. "The war burned everything. There is nothing left to save." Kyle lifted his face toward the dark sky. "Then let me try," he said. "If I die doing it, that's enough." He pushed himself up again, snow falling from his shoulders. The crystal in his hand cracked from the strain, but the light inside grew even brighter. It glowed like a star trapped in ice. The silver dragon felt warmth spreading through her chest for the first time in centuries. Kyle stepped toward her last chain. "When I break this," he said quietly, "you'll be free." The silver dragon lowered her head. "And you will die?" Kale smiled softly. "Maybe, but maybe death is tired of waiting for me." The red dragon's eyes burned with new emotion, something close to respect. "You are foolish," he said, "but your fire is true." Kale looked up at him, his lips cracked, his body shaking. "Then trust it," he whispered. He pressed the crystal against the last chain. The sound that followed was like the world screaming. The ground cracked, lightning danced through the snow. Kale's body was thrown back, but he held on. The crystal burned white, then shattered into dust. The final chain broke. The silver dragon reared up, her wings spreading wide, fire bursting from her throat. The explosion of heat turned the snow to steam. The red dragon roared beside her, their voices shaking the clouds. Kale collapsed into the snow, his body motionless. His hands were blackened from fire, his breath faint. The dragon stared at him, unsure if he was alive. The silver dragon bent her neck, lowering her massive head until it rested beside him. "He freed us," she whispered, "at the cost of himself." The red dragon growled, guilt twisting in his chest. "We were his enemies," he said, "and he gave us life." The silver dragon nodded slowly. "No human or dragon has ever done this," she said. "He is something new." As she spoke, the snow around Kale began to glow faintly. Blue fire flowed through the ground beneath him, spreading like veins through the frozen stone. The dragons felt the warmth deep in their bones, the old power of dragon fire awakening again. Kale's eyes flickered open for a moment. Glowing bright blue, he looked at them and smiled weakly. "Don't waste it," he whispered. His voice was soft but filled with strength. Then his head fell to the side and he went still. The dragon stood silently in the falling snow. The world was quiet except for the faint crackle of fire in the air. The red dragon finally spoke, his deep voice trembling. "What will we do now?" The silver dragon looked at Kale's still form. "We protect him," she said. "He saved our kind. We owe him our fire." The red dragon nodded, lowering his head in respect. "Then let the world know," he said. "The dragons remember." They spread their wings, breaking the last of their icy prison. Fire filled the air, painting the sky golden red. The storm began to fade. The sun broke through the clouds for the first time in centuries. And as its light touched Kale's body, something flickered within him. A heartbeat, faint but real, unseen by the dragons who flew above. Somewhere deep inside his chest, dragon fire still burned, waiting for the next dawn. Snow drifted over Kale's still body. The dragons stood guard, their massive wings shielding him from the freezing wind. The storm had grown quiet, as if the mountains themselves were holding their breath. The silver dragon lowered her head close to him. Feeling a faint warmth coming from his chest, she whispered, "He is not gone yet." The red dragon turned his head sharply, his voice rough. "That warmth is fading fast," he said. "He gave us his fire. There is nothing left for him." The silver dragon stared at the half-human lying in the snow. His pale skin was burned, his lips blue, yet his chest rose slowly, one breath at a time, she said softly. "Dragons owe their lives to one who should have been their enemy." The red dragon grunted. "He is not one of us." But even as he said it, his gaze lingered on Kale's face. The human's eyes were closed, but his expression was calm, as if he dreamed of sunlight. The red dragon finally muttered, "And yet, he burns like us." The silver dragon sighed. "If he carries dragon blood, maybe there is still a way." She spread her wing and covered Kale's body with its silver scales. A soft glow spread from her chest. Her remaining fire passed through the scales. Warming the snow beneath, the red dragon watched in silence. The air began to shimmer faintly. Hours passed. The wind carried whispers through the mountains, old songs from a time when dragons and humans fought side by side. The silver dragon closed her eyes, remembering that ancient bond. "We once shared fire with men," she said, "before pride destroyed everything." The red dragon growled low, "And it will destroy again." Then a sudden movement broke the silence. Kale's hand twitched, his fingers curled in the snow. The silver dragon gasped. The faint blue light from his chest brightened. The red dragon stepped closer. "Impossible," he said under his breath. "No human can rise after giving fire." Kyle opened his eyes slowly. They glowed faint blue, soft but alive. He blinked, confusion on his face. The silver dragon smiled faintly, her massive eyes softening. "You are awake," she said. Kale tried to sit up but fell back weakly. "Where am I?" he asked, his voice cracked like dry leaves. "In the land of death," the red dragon said. "And you refuse to die?" Kale gave a small laugh, though it hurt him. "Guess death lost interest." The dragons exchanged a look. Both uneasy yet fascinated, the silver dragon asked gently, "You said your father was a dragon. Tell us how that can be." Kale looked into the white sky, remembering. "He took human form long ago," he said. "He wanted peace between your kind and mine. He lived among men, taught them to shape fire, but the war found him and both worlds turned to ash." The red dragon lowered his head, smoke rising from his nostrils. "Your father's fire must have been strong." Kale nodded weakly. "Strong enough to curse me with both bloods," he said. Too human for dragons. Too dragon for men. The silver dragon studied him quietly. And yet you live, she said. You carry both hearts. Kale's hand glowed faintly again, small blue flames dancing across his skin. Maybe that's why I can do this, he whispered. He reached toward the silver dragon's broken scales. Her body still bore deep cracks where chains had cut. Kale placed his palm on her wound. The blue light spread like ripples in water. The dragon gasped as warmth entered her veins. The torn scales began to shine again. Her breathing steadied. The red dragon stared in disbelief. You heal dragons, he said slowly. No human should have that gift, Kale smiled faintly. It's not a gift, he said. It's a memory. The snow outside the mountain cave began to melt, revealing old stone carvings, ancient runes of fire and unity. The silver dragon looked at them, her eyes distant. These marks, she said softly, they speak of the fire pact, the bond that joined our races. It was said only one who carried both flames could awaken it again. Kale felt the runes pulsing faintly with heat. Then maybe I was born for this, he said. The red dragon growled. Or doomed by it, but his voice no longer carried anger, only fear of what might come. Suddenly, a loud cracking sound echoed through the valley. The dragons turned their heads through the mist. Black shapes moved in the distance, old war machines, tall as towers crawling from beneath the snow. Their metal bodies glowed faint blue, powered by something unnatural. Kale's eyes widened. Those are from the old war, he said. The red dragon's claws dug into the ice. They were built by men, he said bitterly. To kill us, the silver dragon growled low. The Frost Legion. They were buried after the final battle. Kale stood slowly, his strength barely returning. Then something woke them, he said. And it's coming here. The red dragon spread his wings. Weak but fierce, we can still fight, he said, fire flickering at the edges of his mouth. Kale looked at him and nodded. Not as dragons and humans, he said, but as one. The silver dragon stared at him, her heart trembling for the first time. She saw not a fragile human, but something greater, a bridge between two dying worlds. Kale turned toward the storm, his cloak torn, his eyes burning with light. If the Frost Legion rises again, he said quietly, then the world isn't finished yet, it still remembers us. The silver dragon lowered her head beside him. Then let it remember our fire, she said. The red dragon laughed, a deep, thunderous sound that echoed through the peaks. Let the frozen ones see what true flame is. The wind rose again, swirling around them, carrying the sound of roaring fire into the distance. Kale looked at the two dragons beside him, their scales glowing faintly under the dawn. Together, he whispered, we'll wake the world. And as the three of them faced the coming storm, the snow began to melt in wide circles across the valley, revealing black stone and ancient symbols beneath. The runes of fire shone once more, pulsing in rhythm with Kale's heartbeat. The bond between man and dragon was alive again. Far beyond the mountains in the frozen dark, a vast metal eye opened beneath the ice, reflecting the glow of their flames. The Frost Legion had seen the light, and it was coming. Night returned to the mountains. The sky was black and heavy. The only light came from the faint glow of the runes that Kale and the dragons had awakened. The wind was colder now, carrying the smell of old smoke and metal. Kale stood beside the silver and red dragons, his breath shallow, his eyes bright with strange blue fire. He could feel something inside the earth moving. It was like a heartbeat buried deep below the ice. The dragons felt it too, their scales shivering with memory. The red dragon spoke first, his voice rough. The Frost Legion stirs. We woke them when we broke the chains. Kale looked toward the dark horizon where blue sparks flashed in the snow. Then we finish what your kind and mine started, he said quietly. The silver dragon spread her wings, the tips glowing faint gold. Your wounds are not healed, half-blood, she warned. Kale gave a tired smile. They will be, he said. The fire you gave me keeps burning. He lifted his right hand, and a small blue flame appeared in his palm. It flickered gently, warm and alive. The dragon stared, remembering an ancient sign. That small fire was not ordinary flame. It was the lost flame, the forgotten energy that once united men and dragons. It had been sealed when both sides turned to war, and now, through Kale, it burned again. The silver dragon bowed her head slightly. You carry the bond of our ancestors, she said. You are the bridge, Kale nodded slowly. Then let the bridge hold, he said. He walked toward the carved wall inside the cave. The one filled with runes, each mark began to glow brighter as he passed. The walls trembled, dust falling from the ceiling. The air grew thick with warmth and light. The red dragon stepped closer, eyes wide. You're awakening the heart fire, he said. Kale turned, his face half lit by the glow. What is the heart fire? He asked. The red dragon's voice deepened. It is the flame beneath the world, the breath of every dragon. It sleeps inside the mountains. If it wakes, the world itself changes. Kyle paused, his heart beating faster. Then maybe it's time, he whispered. He pressed both hands against the stone wall. The runes flared like lightning. The cave filled with roaring heat. The silver dragon roared in shock. Kale, stop! The flame will consume you. But he did not move. Blue fire streamed from his chest into the walls. The ground shook, cracks spreading across the cave. Outside, the snow melted in great rivers. Steam rose into the air. The old ice that had covered the valley for centuries began to break apart, revealing black soil beneath. The dragons shielded Kale with their wings. The roar grew louder, until it was like thunder rolling through the world. Then suddenly silence. When the light faded, Kyle collapsed. The floor beneath him was glowing faintly, and a deep rumble echoed from below. The silver dragon leaned close. He has done it, she whispered. The heart fire breathes again. The red dragon lifted his head, looking toward the horizon. And so does our enemy, he said grimly in the distance. Giant figures were rising from the snow, machines of steel and ice, their bodies glowing with blue veins of frost. The Frost Legion had awakened fully. Hundreds of them marched across the frozen plains, their footsteps shaking the ground. The dragons could hear the metal grinding and the cold hum of old engines. Kale stirred weakly. They're coming, he said. The red dragon looked down at him. You cannot fight in this state. Kale forced a smile. I don't need to fight alone. He stood, unsteady but burning with light. The silver dragon lowered her wing beside him. Then climb, Fireborn, she said. Kale hesitated, then placed his hand on her scales and pulled himself up onto her back. The red dragon roared, fire bursting from his mouth. Let the Legion see what still lives, he growled. The two dragons took flight, their wings breaking the storm apart. Snow turned to steam under their heat. Kale stood on the silver dragon's back, holding a broken piece of his crystal like a sword. From above, he could see the enemy lines moving like rivers of shadow. The Frost Legion raised their heads, blue lights glowing where eyes should be. Kale lifted his hand, shouting words that were not human. The sky ignited, runes appeared across the clouds. Glowing orange and gold, the dragons felt power flow through them, their old fire returning stronger than ever. The red dragon dove first, breathing flame so hot it turned the air white. The frost soldiers exploded in bursts of steam and metal. The silver dragon followed, her breath silver and blue, freezing the enemies mid-movement before shattering them into dust. Kale swung his shard through the air, arcs of blue fire cutting through the cold machines. But for every one destroyed, more came. The ground itself split open, and from it rose a colossal figure of steel and ice. The Frost Titan, taller than mountains, its chest glowed like a dying sun. Kale's heart pounded. That's the one that ended the war, he whispered. The silver dragon circled higher. Then we finish it, she said. The Titan raised its arm, aiming a beam of freezing light toward the sky. Kale felt the air freeze around him. He shouted. Now the red dragon flew low, breathing a wall of fire. Kale leapt from the silver dragon's back, landing on the red dragon mid-flight. Blue flame surrounded his body as he drove the shard deep into the dragon's scales. Take my fire, he said, the red dragon roared, his body blazing with white heat. His flames cut through the beam, striking the Titan's chest. The explosion shattered the air. Metal rained down like falling stars. The Titan stumbled, its heart cracked open. Kale's shard glowed brighter than ever. He jumped again, falling through the smoke. He landed on the Titan's chest, pressing both hands against the glowing core. For fire and for life, he whispered. Blue and red flames erupted together. The world shook. The Frost Titan screamed as cracks spread through its entire body. Then it fell, breaking apart into a storm of light and snow. The dragons caught Kale before he hit the ground. His eyes were closed, his body glowing faintly. The silver dragon whispered, He has awakened more than fire. The red dragon nodded slowly, looking at the burning horizon. He has awakened hope. As the storm cleared, the valley shone with rivers of light running beneath the ice. The world was no longer dead. For the first time in 1,000 years, the mountains breathed warmth again, and high above them Kale's fire still burned, painting the sky in colors no human or dragon had ever seen before. The valley was silent after the great battle. The frost titan was gone, its metal bones scattered across the snow like fallen stars. Steam still rose from the melted plains. The red and silver dragons landed near the ruins. Their wings trembling from exhaustion, Kale lay between them half-conscious, his skin glowing faintly with blue light. The silver dragon watched over him, her eyes full of worry. "He is burning from inside," she whispered. "The heart fire consumes him." The red dragon snorted smoke. "He awakened a power meant for gods," he said. "No mortal can hold it for long." But even as he said it, there was something like pride in his voice. Kale opened his eyes slowly, the color of storm and flame. He tried to speak but only managed a breath. "It's not over," he said weakly. The dragons turned toward the horizon. The snow had stopped falling, but the clouds above still pulsed with faint blue light. The silver dragon frowned. "Something moves under the ice," she said. The ground beneath them trembled. A low hum filled the air, the kind that crawled into bones. The red dragon spread his wings. "The Frost Legion still stirs," he growled. "Their master is not dead." The silver dragon tilted her head, listening. The sound was not coming from above, it was coming from below, deep under the earth. Kale forced himself to sit up, his face pale. "It's the source," he said, "the true heart of their power, still sleeping under the glacier." He looked toward the mountain where the chains once held the dragons. The frost core. The dragons exchanged uneasy glances. The red one asked, "And if it wakes?" Kale answered softly. Then the whole world freezes again. A dark mist began to rise from the cracks in the ice. It spread slowly, swallowing the battlefield. The air grew colder with every breath. Kale pressed his hand against the ground, feeling the vibration. "It's alive," he whispered. "The ice remembers everything we burned." The silver dragon lowered her head close to him. "Then we must destroy it," she said. Kale shook his head. "You can't, it's not a machine. It's a soul." The dragons fell silent. The red dragon's eyes glowed faintly. "A soul?" he repeated. "Of what?" Kale looked at the spreading mist. "Of a dragon," he said. "One of your own, twisted by war, bound in frost." The wind screamed suddenly, the ground split open, and a roar unlike any they had ever heard tore through the world. A massive shape rose from beneath the ice. Wings made of crystal, scales like shards of frozen glass. Its eyes glowed pale blue, burning with rage and sorrow. The red dragon stepped back, disbelief in his voice. "The Ice Father," he whispered. "He was one of the firstborn." The creature turned its head toward them. Its voice echoed in every direction. "Fire still lives," it said. Its tone was cold and endless. Kale stood unsteadily, his heart racing. "He was sealed here," he said. "They used him to power the Frost Legion." The silver dragon growled. "And now he wants revenge." The Ice Father spread his wings, the air freezing solid around them. His roar shattered the sky, ice spikes burst from the ground, chasing the dragons as they leapt into the air. The red dragon breathed fire, but the flames froze mid-air. The silver dragon dived low, dodging a storm of shards. Kale held tight to her neck, shouting ancient words. Blue runes appeared in the air, blocking the deadly ice. The Ice Father's eyes turned toward Kale. "You," it said, "the child of both fires." "The mistake," Kale felt his chest burn. "I am no mistake," he shouted. The Ice Father's laughter was like thunder cracking through glass. "You cannot stop the cold, it will take all." Kale closed his eyes, calling the flame inside him. He felt the warmth grow, the same fire that once broke the chains. It spread through his arms, turning the snow beneath him to steam. "Then let it take me first," he said. The dragons roared together, flying toward the ancient beast. The red dragon struck first. Slamming into the Ice Father with burning claws, the silver dragon followed. Wrapping her tail around its neck, Kale leapt from her back. Landing on the Ice Father's chest, his body shone like a small sun. He pressed both hands against the frozen scales. "You were once fire too," he said. "Remember what warmth felt like." For a moment, the Ice Father hesitated, its eyes flickering between blue and white. But then it screamed, "Fire betrayed me." The beast thrashed. Throwing Kale into the air, he fell, spinning through the storm. The silver dragon caught him before he hit the ice. "You can't reach him with words," she said. Kale gasped. Then I'll reach him with flame. He held the broken shard in his hand and stabbed it into his own chest. The dragon shouted in horror. Blue and red flames exploded from his body, wrapping around the battlefield. The Ice Father froze, staring at the light. Kale's voice echoed through the storm. If the world must burn or freeze, let it live instead. The flames rushed forward, swallowing the Ice Father. The ice cracked for miles. Steam and light burst from the mountains. The Ice Father roared one last time before its body turned to mist, and the mist rose into the sky, disappearing into the dawn. When the light faded, Kale was lying motionless again. The dragons landed beside him. The snow around them melted into a small lake. The silver dragon touched his shoulder gently. "He lives," she whispered. The red dragon looked toward the horizon, where the last of the frost faded into sunlight. "And so does the world," he said. They lifted their heads together and roared. A sound not of war but of life. The sound carried across the valleys, reaching the farthest corners of the frozen lands. The long winter was ending, and beneath the melting ice, a faint heartbeat echoed once more, the world itself remembering warmth, remembering Kael, the fireborn, the bridge between life and death. The sun broke through the clouds for the first time in centuries. Its light fell over a world of steam and smoke. The battlefield was quiet, yet the air still trembled with power. Kael lay at the center, his chest rising faintly, the broken shard in his hand glowing with dying blue fire. The red and silver dragon stood over him, their eyes fixed on the horizon, but peace did not last. The ground began to rumble again. A deep roar echoed from far below. The red dragon spread his wings. "The frost core is not gone," he said. The silver dragon's eyes narrowed. Then the Ice Father's death only broke the shell. Kyle stirred weakly, whispering, "Something bigger wakes beneath us." The mountains shuddered. Great cracks opened across the frozen plains. From those cracks rose rivers of glowing ice. They twisted together until a shape formed, taller than any mountain, broader than any storm. A creature of pure frost and flame mixed together. Its body shimmered like a mirror of two worlds. Fire on one side, ice on the other. The silver dragon gasped. "The frostborn titan," she said. "A monster born from both Kale's flame and the Ice Father's curse," the red dragon growled. "A creature of balance and destruction." Kale pushed himself up, holding the shard close to his heart. "Then I must face it," he said quietly. "It carries part of my fire." The sky darkened. Snow and ash mixed as the wind began to howl again. The titan moved, every step shaking the world. Its voice rolled like thunder. "Fire and ice are one. All shall freeze and burn together." Kale climbed onto the silver dragon's back, his hair blowing wildly in the storm. "Then let's teach it what life means," he said. The dragons took flight, soaring above the growing chaos. The red dragon breathed a wall of fire across the valley. Melting the ice rivers below, the titan swung its arm, and the melted fire turned solid again, freezing midair. The silver dragon dove, dodging shards of crystal. "It adapts to our fire," she shouted. Kale tightened his grip on her scales. "Then we changed the fire." He closed his eyes, feeling the heat inside his blood. The lost flame answered, brighter than ever before. Blue and red light mixed together, flowing from his body into the dragon beneath him. The silver dragon felt it rush through her veins. Her wings glowed like twin suns, she roared, her voice shaking the clouds. "Burn, child of two worlds." She dived straight toward the titan. Her claws glowing blue, she slashed across its chest, leaving a trail of steam and light. The titan screamed, its frozen skin cracking. The red dragon followed, striking from behind. "For Kale!" he roared. His fire met the silver dragon's ice-blue flame, exploding in a storm of colors. But the titan was not done. It plunged its hand into the earth, drawing power from the frost core beneath. The ground split open, and geysers of freezing light shot upward. The silver dragon was hit by one. Her body frozen mid-flight. Kale screamed her name, leaping off her back as she crashed into the ground. He landed hard on the titan's shoulder, his boots slipping against the ice. The shard in his hand pulsed faintly. "You want both worlds?" he shouted. "Then take mine." He plunged the shard deep into the creature's neck. Blue fire spread through its veins. The titan howled, its ice melting, its fire raging. The red dragon swooped down, grabbing Kale before the monster could crush him. He carried him high into the sky. "Your plan," the dragon shouted. Kale coughed, his face pale. Its power is drawn from the core. We have to cut it off. The dragon's eyes blazed. Then we go to the source. They flew downward, straight toward the glowing crack in the earth. The Titan tried to follow, but its legs melted into the ice. The red dragon roared as they dove into the pit. Flames surrounded them. The frost core glowed at the bottom, a sphere of frozen fire spinning endlessly. Kale could feel his heartbeat match its rhythm. He looked at the dragon. "You have given me your flame before," he said. "Will you trust me one last time?" The dragon nodded. "Do it, Fireborn." Kale closed his eyes and pressed his hand to the dragon's heart. The bond between them ignited. The dragon's flame merged with Kale's, turning white-hot. They struck the core together. Fire met frost. The explosion tore through the earth. Light burst upward, blinding the Titan above. The frostborn creature screamed as cracks spread through its chest. Steam and ash filled the sky. The red dragon's roar echoed one last time before the world went silent. When the storm cleared, the Titan was gone. The mountain had collapsed into a vast crater filled with mist. The silver dragon broke free from her icy prison, her body weak but alive. "Kyle?" she called softly. No answer came. She spread her wings, searching the ruins at last. She saw it, a faint blue light floating in the mist. She flew closer, landing beside a pool of molten water. In the center stood Kyle, his body shining with soft blue flame. His eyes opened slowly, calm and clear. "It's done," he said quietly. The silver dragon lowered her head, tears of steam falling. "You burned the core." Kale nodded. "And with it, the curse." The world around them began to change. The air warmed, the ice melted from the mountains. Rivers began to flow again. The sky turned gold as dawn spread across the land. The silver dragon smiled faintly. "You've done what no god could," she whispered. Kale looked at her, his smile gentle. "I only did what life asked." The red dragon's voice echoed faintly from the distance. Carried by the wind, fire remembers. Kale raised his hand toward the rising sun. "And so does hope," he said. High above, the clouds parted, revealing stars that had been hidden for 1,000 years. They glittered against the morning light like eyes watching from heaven. The world was alive again. The war of fire and ice had ended, but in Kale's chest, the flame still burned quietly, not as a weapon, but as a promise that the bond between dragon and man would never die again. The dawn was soft and golden, spreading slowly over a world reborn. The mountains that once held only ice now shimmered with streams of light. Rivers melted through the frozen plains, and the sky carried the scent of warmth. The war was over, but its echoes still moved through the land like faint heartbeats. The silver dragon rested beside a cliff overlooking the valley. Her scales reflected the morning sun, yet her eyes were heavy with memory. Below her, Kale sat quietly beside the edge, his body thin, his skin faintly glowing with blue fire. He looked at his reflection in the melted water, unsure whether he still saw a man or something else. The silver dragon spoke softly. "The world breathes again because of you." Kyle smiled faintly. "No, it breathes because it wanted to live," he said. "I was only a spark." The dragon tilted her head. "A spark that became a sun," she said. Kale chuckled quietly, though sadness lingered in his eyes. He looked across the valley where the red dragon once stood. Only ashes remained now, carried by the wind like glowing dust. Kale's voice trembled. "He gave me his fire." "All of it?" The silver dragon bowed her head. "And through his flame life returned," she said. "Such is the way of fire. It gives by ending itself." Kale stood slowly, every movement heavy but full of quiet strength. "The bond is complete now," he said. "Dragon and human fire no longer burn apart." The dragon's eyes glowed faintly. "And yet, you are still alone," she said gently. Kale nodded. "Maybe this is what the bridge between worlds must be." For a moment, silence filled the air, only the sound of melting ice breaking the quiet. Kale looked toward the sky, clouds moving like living silver. "They will come back someday," he said. "Humans will rise from their hiding places. Dragons will fly again. They'll see what we did here and remember." The silver dragon lowered her neck, her voice almost a whisper. "And what will they call you, Kale?" she asked. Kale smiled sadly. "Nothing," he said. "Names don't matter when the fire belongs to everyone." He stepped closer to the edge, the wind blowing his torn cloak. His eyes shone brighter than before. Like twin stars, the silver dragon frowned. "Your flame grows too strong," she said. "You cannot hold it forever." Kale turned to her. His voice calm. It's not meant to stay, he said. It must return to the world. The ground beneath them began to hum again. The runes on the valley floor shimmered with light. The same ancient symbols that once slept now pulsed gently. As if waiting for him, Kale looked down and whispered, "They call to me." The dragon's heart ached. "You mean to leave?" she said. Kale nodded. "Not to vanish," he said softly. "To become what I was meant to be." He raised his hands, and blue flames rose from his palms, curling around the air like smoke. The sky above answered, opening in a circle of light. The silver dragon took a step forward, her voice trembling. "If you go, the world will lose its guardian." Kyle smiled. "It will gain something better," he said. "Memory." The light spread, washing over the valley. Flowers began to bloom through the snow, their petals glowing faintly with heat. Birds returned from the south, and the rivers sang again. The dragon felt warmth deep inside her heart. Warmth she hadn't felt since the beginning of time. Kale's body began to fade into flame, his edges glowing white and blue. "Tell them," he said softly. "Tell them fire is not only to destroy." The dragon lowered her head, tears of molten gold rolling down her scales. "And what is it then?" she asked. Kyle looked at her with eyes that no longer belonged to a man but to something timeless. "It is to remember," he said, "to keep the world alive through warmth. Even when everything else turns to ash." The wind rose again, swirling around them, lifting the ashes of the red dragon into the air. The light of dawn grew stronger, and Kale's form dissolved completely. His voice echoed across the mountains. "Fire remembers," the silver dragon roared, a sound filled not with sorrow but with pride. Her wings opened wide, and she lifted into the air. The valley below shimmered with light. The snow turned into flowing rivers, the rivers into lakes, and the lakes into mirrors of flame and sky centuries past. The story of Kale spread through whispers and songs. Some said he became the heart of the sun. Others said he lived within every spark of fire that touched the earth. Dragons spoke his name in quiet reverence. Humans told tales of the fireborn who united two dying worlds. And on the coldest nights, when the stars shone brightest, travelers swore they could see a figure walking through the snow, a man of light, with eyes of blue flame, and behind him, two dragons of silver and red soaring through the clouds. The world called it a myth, but the mountains knew the truth. For every dawn carried his warmth, and every flame carried his soul. The fire of Kale never went out. It lived in every heart that dared to fight the cold. It whispered to every creature that still believed in hope, reminding them softly again and again, "Fire remembers."